Good morning, everyone who has joined this particular webinar. I welcome you for this webinar. My name is Sumit Jain. I am a founder of ResQ Technologies. ResQ is a compliance services company. We provide compliance-based services. VAPT is one of the part which we provide as a service to our end customers. In last 2 years, we have worked with various companies in this particular segment and provided our services. So we will be starting with the presentation on vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. So I have Abhishek, who is a cybersecurity expert from our company, will be taking up the presentation on vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Yeah, Abhishek, over to you. Please go ahead. We can start now.
Thank you, Sumit. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, very clearly. Please go ahead.
All right, so I would like to welcome everyone to our webinar, which which is on the topic vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so firstly, we'll go on and see what is vulnerability assessment. So as you can see, in vulnerability assessment, we check and identify the vulnerabilities that are present in the network or web application or mobile application, any type of device that is present on the network. And with by checking the vulnerabilities, we can check for the weaknesses that can be exploited by the hackers to gain access to the devices or your data or to interrupt your services. With the use of vulnerability assessment, you can check the health of your network or your applications, and it can give you real-time insights into your vulnerabilities. It also helps you to strengthen your cybersecurity posture so that you can take appropriate action to fix those vulnerabilities. The second part of this is penetration testing. In penetration testing, the the analyst tries to simulate a cyber attack, just like how it will happen in a real world by a real threat actor. And they will try to get access to your network application or your mobile applications or your cloud infrastructure, and they will exploit the vulnerabilities. So in vulnerability assessment, there is only a report with the vulnerabilities present in the network, but in penetration testing, the analyst will try to exploit the vulnerabilities. So it goes far deeper than just the vulnerability assessment. And by exploiting the vulnerabilities, they can give you real recommendations on how to strengthen your organization's security posture. Why you need VAPT? So VAPT is okay. So I think you guys are not able to see the PPT. Give me a second. I hope you can see my PPT now.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now we'll cover why we need VAPT. So VAPT is required for regular testing of your cybersecurity posture, as it gives you a real insight into the weaknesses of your network and applications. VAPT will find out all the weaknesses and how they can be exploited by the real-time threat actors, and it will give you insights into the vulnerabilities that are present in your network. And VAPT is also a requirement into the compliances, so it will help you to achieve the compliances by the industry standards. So I'll run a small poll regarding VAPT, which everyone should take part in. Give me a second, I'll run a poll. With polls, we'll be able to get information from all the participants on how to serve you better with VAPT services. So please take part in the poll. It will help us to provide you better services with VAPT and also to gain information from you. So, are you able to see the poll in the chat?
Yes, I am able to see the poll.
Okay.
We are yet to receive some of the replies on the poll.
Okay, we'll
I will request
wait a
everyone
minute.
to participate into the poll so that we can understand what is the kind of a trend in the VAPT compliance-based services generally happened in the organizations. So it will really help us to design the various services which we have on those bases. Right now, I can see only 5 people have responded to this particular poll. So I will request for another 10 seconds if you can. Okay.
All right, so
Yeah, we
then
got the
we'll
9
move ahead.
responses.
All right, so we will move ahead with the presentation. So now we'll cover the types
Yeah,
of
please go ahead.
VAPTs. So there are various type of VAPT that can be performed. So firstly is network. So network take cares of the internal and the external network infrastructure of the organization. The second one is web application. So in web application, if you have internal or external web application, it takes care of that. Mobile applications that are present on the iOS or Android. Wireless network, like if you have wireless network for Wi-Fi, we also analyze and find vulnerabilities in that. And now, as you can see, the companies shifting to cloud. So cloud is also a type of VAPT that we can perform on and assess the cloud infrastructure. The next is Internet of Things and
And
examine the Internet of Things and devices connect to the internet. These are small brief explanations of the type of VAPT. So in network VAPT, we try to test the vulnerabilities present in the internal or the external network infrastructure of the organization. So we will test the vulnerabilities on the devices that are computer, printers, network devices like routers, firewalls, switches, and then we will provide the vulnerability reports to the organization so that they can fix them. Also, if they are looking for penetration testing, so we will perform the penetration testing and try to exploit the vulnerabilities and gain access to the network and give them a better report about the vulnerabilities. And we will also provide them recommendations so that they can fix the vulnerabilities and secure the network. So the network VAPT process starts with defining the scope. So the organization will first define the scope of all the devices or the IP addresses they want to test for the VAPT. Then second, the analyst will start the scanning and try to identify the vulnerabilities using manual testing or the automated testing using the tools. Third is exploitation. So the analyst will try to exploit the vulnerabilities that are found during the assessment. The fourth part is analyzing. So all the vulnerabilities will be given a risk score as per the compliance or the requirement of the organizations and their potential impacts. And the last part is reporting. So everything will be mentioned in the reports with the given risk scores and the vulnerabilities and also the recommendations by the analyst to fix those vulnerabilities. Then the report will be provided to the customer or the organization so that they can work on it and fix the vulnerabilities. The second is web application vulnerability penetration testing. So in web application, the analyst will try to exploit the vulnerabilities like SQL injection and cross-site scripting. So there are various vulnerabilities that are present in the web applications and also the infrastructure on which the web application is hosted. So there are a few standards on which the vulnerabilities are tested on, and the analyst will try to find all the vulnerabilities that are present in the either the web application or the infrastructure on which the on the web application is hosted on. So the process is actually same as the network. There will be a scope. So scope definition will be the first part of the assessment, where the organization will provide the either the IP address or the URL to the application. Then there will be reconnaissance, which is the analyst will try to gather information about the application and its environment, like finding out what is the type of the web server it is hosted on or the domains. So the analyst will try to do reconnaissance and try to find more information on the scope that is defined by the organization. Then they will start to do vulnerability scanning. So whether it is manual or using the automated tools like Burp Suite, and they will try to find the vulnerabilities on on the web application. The fourth part is exploitation. So they will try to stimulate some attacks or make changes in the web application or try to get access to the web servers or the SQL database. And the fifth part here will be reporting. So they will report all the vulnerabilities and provide the proof of concept for the vulnerabilities and the exploit they were able to run on the web application and its infrastructure. Also, they will provide the recommendation and remediation so that the organization can fix those vulnerabilities and secure their application. The third one is mobile application. So the mobile application, as you know, are hosted on the Apple Store or Android, so they can be both. And in this, the analyst will try to get access to the web application or analyze the code and APIs, and also how the user data is handled. And the process is same as for all the VAPTs. The first part will be scope defining. So the organization will provide the analyst with the application they want to assess and give the information, or they can give a demo application of it. Second will be information gathering. So the analyst will try to find the application details, APIs, or backend connections, or more information they can find out about the application. Then they will do a static static analysis in which they will try to find the vulnerabilities into the code, and then they will try to run the code and find the runtime security flaws or vulnerabilities in the application. The next part is exploitation. So they will try to exploit the vulnerabilities that has been found in the static or dynamic analysis. And the sixth part will be reporting. So they will provide the risk score of all the vulnerabilities, and they will provide the proof of concepts and remediation steps for the organization so that they can fix those vulnerabilities. The next part will be wireless network VAPT. So in Wi-Fi or wireless network VAPT, the analyst will try to get unauthorized access to the wireless network of the organization using various tools or rogue devices. And the aim of this VAPT is to secure the wireless communication of the network. The process starts with scope defining. So the organization will provide the wireless network and their IP addresses and the devices that they want to access. The second part will be the information gathering. So the analyst will try to identify the access points and network configuration and protocols. The third part will be the scanning. So they will try to scan the network, whether it is manual or with automated scans using various tools and scripts. And they will try to detect if there is any weak encryption used or there are any misconfigurations on the network. Fourth part will be exploitation, in which they will try to exploit the vulnerabilities and try to get unauthorized access on to the wireless network. And the fifth part will be reporting, in which the analyst will report all the vulnerabilities, provide them the risk scores, and provide some recommendation and remediation so that the organization can work on these recommendations and secure their wireless network. Next part is cloud VAPT. So as you know, the organizations are shifting to cloud infrastructure. So they want to secure their cloud infrastructure, and by this the analyst will try to find some misconfigured cloud resources, or there are any public buckets that are present which are not known to the organization. So this VAPT will provide all the information regarding the cloud infrastructure to the organization so that they can secure the cloud infrastructure. The process will start with the scope defining. So they will provide all the information about the cloud services that they are running or about their cloud infrastructure. They want to test for the vulnerabilities. And then the analyst will try to gain more information about the configuration and details about the network or of the cloud infrastructure, and which will help him in scanning and finding the vulnerabilities. So the third part will be identifying the misconfiguration and vulnerabilities by scanning the cloud infrastructure, whether it is manual or automated using the tools. The fourth part is exploitation. So they will try to exploit the vulnerabilities that are present in the cloud infrastructure and they have found through scanning. And the fifth part will be reporting the vulnerabilities to the organization with the risk scores so that they can prioritize the remediation as per the risk scores provided by the analyst. Internet of Things. So in Internet of Things, VAPT takes care of all the devices that are connected to the internet or the organization network. And these devices can be used as botnets or can be used to gain unauthorized access to the uh, infrastructure of the organization. So they are very vulnerable, and also they have potential to get attacked a lot more than the other type of infrastructure devices on the network. So the first part will start with scope definition. So the organization will provide with the list of devices they want to they want to test for vulnerabilities, then the analyst will try to find out more information about the devices, their make, their operating systems, and their network details. And then they will scan them for the vulnerabilities using automated tools and manual scripts. After that, they will try to exploit all the vulnerabilities they have found during scanning, and then they will report all the vulnerabilities and the proof of concepts and provide them a risk score as per their criticality to the organization so that they can fix those vulnerabilities. So before moving on to VAPT process, I will like to run a poll. Just give me a second. Please take part in the polls so that we can get a better insight for your requirements and information on VAPT. Okay, so I've run a poll. We'll wait for a minute so that we can get all your responses. I'll request you to please take part in the polls. Okay, so let's move on to the VAPT process. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So the first part of VAPT process is always the organization providing the scope, and then the analyst will try to get and try to find out more information of the scope so that they can perform the VAPT better. Then the third part is vulnerability scanning. So scanning can be done both manually or with the vulnerability assessment tools. The fourth part will be exploiting the vulnerabilities. So the analysts will try to exploit all the vulnerabilities they have found and use their proof of concepts in the report to give a better insight into the vulnerabilities. And the last part will be uh, reporting all the findings and also providing the recommendations, remediation, and the risk scores as per the criticality of the vulnerabilities. Yeah. So as I mentioned, first step is always the scope defining. So organization prioritize their network and their devices and provide them as a scope to the VAPT performing analyst. And they will also provide the goals they want to achieve with the VAPT so that analyst has better idea about how the process will be performed. After that, the analyst will try to collect more information through various tools and scripts about the uh, scope, scoped infrastructure or application. It, because it is very important to find out all the information before starting the scanning and vulnerability scanning process. It will give them a better approach to the VAPT process. After finding the information, they can start the vulnerability scanning and try to detect all the security flaws present in the network or the applications. After that, when they have all the information about the vulnerabilities, they will try to find exploits and also use those exploits on those vulnerabilities to exploit the network or the web application that is defined in the scope. After that, they will report all the findings, vulnerabilities, their impacts, remediation steps, re- recommendations, and also the risk score of the vulnerabilities. So VAPT has methodologies, the approach to the VAPT. So the first type is black box testing. The second is gray box testing, and the third one is white box. So these three methodologies are used when we are performing a VAPT, whether it is web application network or cloud infrastructure. So in black box, the analyst has no prior knowledge of the system or the implementation of the network or the protocols. So they are just focused on the external vulnerabilities from the perspective of an attacker, which means just like an attacker, they will only have the information about the external infrastructure about of the organization. So they will try to simulate that on the infrastructure of the organization. The second one is gray box. So the analyst will have a little more information about the infrastructure and how it is implemented, and will try to simulate an insider threat, like if the attacker has already gained access to the internal network of the organization, so they will try to simulate that. The white box testing, the tester has full knowledge of the system as it will be provided by the organization to the analyst, so they can simulate an attack where the attacker has full access to the network, and then they will try to find the weaknesses and vulnerabilities in the system. So these are few, this is the brief explanation of what black box testing is. So in black box testing, the analyst is trying to simulate a external attack where he has no prior knowledge of the system and internal working architecture of the network or the source code of the application. The tester only interacts with the system externally and will try to find the vulnerabilities on that. So there are few advantages and disadvantages to this approach. So the advantages are it is a better simulation of the real world attack that can happen on an organization's infrastructure, and it tests how well the system can handle if there are any anomalies provided by a user. It can be performed without the access of the credentials or source code, so it is better approach for an external audit. Disadvantages will be the limited insights as they do not have access to the internal network or internal vulnerabilities. So there will not be a lot more depth in the assessment. The second approach, the second approach will be gray box testing, in which the analyst will be provided a little more information about the application or the network by the organization, so that they can better perform the VAPT on the scope. So as it is mentioned, gray box testing is a penetration testing method where tester has partial knowledge of the system or the architecture or the user roles. So it will try to simulate approach where the attacker has gained the access to the internal system of the organization, but has limited access to the network. And this approach has few advantages and disadvantages. So the first advantage will be balanced approach. So with this approach, you can test both the external and the internal threats that can be faced by the organization's infrastructure. The second, it is more realistic as compared to black box because it also mimics the insider threat, uh, or maybe a user which has partial access to the network. It is quite faster as compared to white box testing. Disadvantages will be that it is still a, l- a lot more surface level information that will be present in the vulnerability report because the analyst still doesn't have the full knowledge about the infrastructure or the application. It is also very resource intensive because it requires more efforts and expertise than as compared to the black box testing, and it is a less thorough approach as compared to white box testing, where the analyst has uh, all the access and information about the infrastructure or the application so that they can perform VAPT better and give deep insight into the vulnerabilities. Now we will move on to white box testing. So in white box testing, you will already know that now the tester or the analyst has full access to the network and has admin roles so that they can perform a deeper search for vulnerabilities and also try to exploit it. In the case of web application, they have access to the source code, so they can do both dynamic and static analysis of the application, and it will provide a better insight into the vulnerabilities that are present in the application. It is a very thorough approach as compared to both gray box and black box because the analyst has code level access to the application and can provide a better insight into the vulnerabilities. So there are few advantages and disadvantages with this approach. So the first advantages is the analyst has all the access he requires. So the evaluation will be a lot more thorough as compared to black box or gray box, and it will also cover a lot more scenarios because they have test code configuration and data flows. So it can cover a lot more vulnerabilities. The third one will be faster issue detection, the quicker identification due to detailed system knowledge. So the analyst will be able to find out vulnerabilities a lot more faster because he has all the information he needs to perform the VAPT. Disadvantage will be requires expertise because with all the information, if the tester is not capable and has not gotten the best of knowledge, so he won't be able to go a deeper into the vulnerability assessment of the application. Also, it is very time consuming as it can be very lengthy process for complex systems. And when the white box testing is performed, the perspective is as for the attacker has gained access to the internal network. So there might be a case where the analyst misses the external attack factors, and it will not be a kind of a real approach to the real threats that are present. So with methodologies, we also have security frameworks, which provides us with a kind of a standard for VAPT assessment. I would like to run a poll before we move on to the next topic. I'll request everyone to take part into the poll so that we know that you are getting the information you need regarding VAPT. and also we can serve you better. So we'll wait a minute.
Great. Few responses. Meanwhile, I want to introduce Ms. Sangeeta Ganguly from our project team. She will be speaking about uh, why the guidelines from certain and other frameworks are required. Like we are on the framework slide as of now. So I will request Sangeeta ma'am to unmute and speak about something regarding the certain guidelines and the RBI guidelines for which various companies need to comply with for VAPT kinds of services.
Yeah,
Sang-
okay.
yeah,
Hope I'm audible.
yeah, Sangeeta ji, please.
Okay. Good morning to all of you. Uh, Thank you, Sumit. I'll just take some time to introduce and talk about the compliances and the certain requirements. Just to start off with, what is certain? Certain is Computer Agency Response Team. This is a nodal agency, the national nodal agency of India. And this organization, what does it do? It responds to the cybersecurity incidents which happens all across India. So, certain runs a rigorous testing methodology, testing process, and empanels the cybersecurity agencies who can audit on their behalf. So, uh, whenever any organization you will find as a certain agency or auditing agency, they have their website. You can also visit and find out for your own information. So there are around 190 to 200 odd agencies, security agencies all across India who certain has empaneled as their security auditing organizations. Now, these organizations conducts audit on behalf of certain. So you can understand very well that when any organization is representing certain, that organization has to keep certain very, very important points and uh, mm, uh, critical informations which customer shares with them. They have to be very particular about those, because even a small mistake on behalf on the auditor's part may lead into a big amount of breaches, and the customer might face financial loss as well as recognition loss. So to take care of that, certain has given us certain mandates, certain regulations which we have to keep in mind while we take up any kind of security audit. Now, the first and foremost thing is that whenever a customer decides to go in for any audit, first thing is that the scope should be very clear what the customer wants to perform. Sometimes security audit is a vague term, we say that security assessment, we want to conduct a security audit. So security audit is a big term. So we have to specify with from the customer, and the customer also should give us in writing that what kind of a audit he wants. We have technology, we have process, there are various kinds of audits. So coming to technology audit, the one which Abhishek was taking us through his nice slides. So technology audit starts from the very, very basic thing is VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Now, VAPT is what? VAPT is can be of your systems, of your entire, the basic infrastructure of the company, starting from your endpoints till cloud. Now, this VAPT has various layers of it. If you just do a simple kind of a VAPT, organizations to start, and then you can travel the path of the cyber security maturity process. So every organization is now very, very vulnerable. And any digit since we are into digitalization, India is into the process path of digitalization. Security audit is the most important thing for any organization, be it small, medium, or large. So the more awareness it happens to us, the better is it's for us, because there's no point, once the compromise happens and then coming back and getting it done. We should always take steps before it happens. So coming back to my point, scope of work. Once the scope of work is defined, there's a NDA, non-disclosure agreement, which should be there in place between the customer and the auditor. Third point is certain basic information sharing. While we take up, say, any application audit or infrastructure audit wherein we are doing VAPT, we have to take certain information. The team will ask the customers to share certain information. For example, I'll just say, for example, the asset description, criticality of the assets, your internal IP addresses wherever it is applicable, URL in case of a web application, or information about the mobile application, your public IP address, hash value, which is a very important point. Information in case of application which the customer need to share with us, and these are the mandates which has come from certain. We cannot proceed without getting this information from the customer. Uh, Next is, while we perform the audit, we share the initial report with the customer. The next activity is the responsibility of the client. So what the client has to do, they have to mitigate those gaps which we have shared, which are as per our analysis. Our security analysts share the reports, initial reports, with uh, mm, severity of the vulnerabilities. So we generally define or categorize the vulnerabilities as very critical, high, medium, low. So most of the time, the question which comes to us that, mm, sir or madam, say for example, we have 20 gaps which has been observed. So can we just mitigate the top ones and low ones, even if we don't do, will it be okay? So our answer is no, sir. You have to mitigate all the gaps. Whether it is high, whether it is medium, and whether it is as low as possible. Only in case of low, there are certain scenarios wherein we discuss with the customer. We find out that those cannot be exploited possibly, and the customer will take care of it after a certain period of time, and that has to be mentioned in our reports, as well as if the certificate is being shared, we mention it, say, within 6 months time or 2 months time, this particular gap or thing will be mitigated or taken care of by the customer. Once that is not done and any breach happens, uh, our responsibility as service provider is not there, and the customer has to, take the entire responsibility and have to face the issues, complications. So we always would request you that you mitigate all the gaps, whether it is high, medium, low. Our technical team is always there to handhold, to assist you, and we always give a recommendation. And even if that is not sufficient, we are always there to help you. Our team is available over phone, over mails, to take care. Now, these are more or less about certain. Now we have other compliances from RBI, from SEBI. RBI is mostly on the process part, whichever. I hope I am not too fast in my uh, explanation. And if you have any
No worries,
questions,
Sangeeta ji. We have couple of minutes so that we can move on to question answer round.
All right.
Meanwhile,
So
I will request to the participants if they have any questions, please raise the hand so that we can unmute them to have a questions because we
yes,
are
yes.
very much on the timelines. So
Right,
we
right.
want if
Sure.
somebody is having a question, so we can raise the you can raise the hand and we can move on with the question answer round. Meanwhile, Abhishek also finishes presentation.
Correct, correct. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sangeeta, for the insight into the certain and their policies. I will move ahead with the presentation. And so the next topic is security framework. So OWASP is one of the standards. OWASP provides the top 10 vulnerabilities for the web applications. So when we get the scope of a vulnerabilities assessment on a web application, the analyst will try to exploit or find out all the top 10 vulnerabilities mentioned in the OWASP top 10 vulnerability sheet. So OWASP stands for Open Web Application Security Project. Uh, it is a standard for web applications to provide sec- top tier security, and they list all the top 10 vulnerabilities that can be exploited by an attacker. So this list is provided by OWASP every 2, 3, 4 years, and this can be used as a standard for VAPT on web application. The second is National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. So NIST security framework and the standard SP 800115 for penetration testing methodologies. So it provides few methodologies and standards for VAPT. So the analyst will use all the methodologies that are mentioned in the NIST document and try to exploit those vulnerabilities. The third one is PCI DSS, which is which stands for Payment Card in the Industry Data Security Standards. So it takes care of the credit card information and the payment information. Uh, so it specifies security standards for handling credit card information with requirements for regular vulnerability assessments. So any organization that takes payments through credit cards or has a payment gateway has to comply with PCI DSS standard. Uh, the fourth one is ISO or IEC 27001. So this is a global standard for compliance. It is an international standard for information security management systems, which includes vulnerability management process. So VAPT is part of ISO 27001. It is one of the requirements for it. The next one is CIS, which stands for Center for Internet Security, and it provides benchmarks and best practices for securing system, networks, and applications. The next one is SANS. This stands for Administration, Networking, and Security Institute, and it provides guidelines on how to secure the network or the applications uh, while trying to assess it through VAPT. And HIPAA is for hospitals and stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and it requires regular vulnerability assessment for healthcare related systems to ensure the security and privacy of the sensitive data or the medical records of the patients. And it is also a standard for insurance companies. So the next part is VAPT tools. So there are a lot of paid and open source tools which are used by analysts to perform VAPT. So the few paid tools are like Burp Suite Professional, Nessus, Equinetics, Qualys Vulnerability Management, Rapid7 Insight VM, and NetSparker. And the open source tools are Nmap, which is used for network scanning. Necto is for web application. Marscan is for reconnaissance. OSZAP is for web application. Sublister is for finding the subdomains. SQL map is used to perform SQL injection on web applications, and Wireshark is for sniffing the network. So now we'll hand over the presentation to Sumit, and he'll
Yeah.
give you a brief information about our product, that is Audit IQ.
So we also have a product where the name of the product is Audit IQ, where we providing all the insight about your vulnerability scans, all the reports, all the vulnerabilities will be provided to the customer on the go. We will not depend on the mailing for providing a kind of a CSV file of the any kind of vulnerabilities which we found into web application or network scan. We provide through the software which we have with the name of Audit IQ. It's a kind of a risk management tool also where you can understand what kind of vulnerabilities and the severity of those vulnerabilities from the same tool. And you can also store all your reports from the day one into this particular panel. So it will really help you to get aligned with all the compatibilities of your compliances on one software, one SaaS model where you can download or upload any kind of reports which you have on the compliance. It can be VAPT report, it can be any other third-party report which you want to safeguard for your compliances. So that's the Audit IQ product which we have. Along with this, I also want to share one thing. I want to share I just want to share my screen where I want to give information about our next webinar, which will be happening next week, same time. And this webinar will be happening with Indusface on application security, right? So this link has been shared into the chat box, and you can also register for this particular webinar where Mr. Jayesh Kumar will be taking us a session for application security from Indusface, and I will be moderating the particular session. So this link has been shared into the chat box. You can go and register for this particular webinar also for next week. And meanwhile, if you have any questions, please raise your hand. We will unmute you and you can ask the question, and Abhishek and Sangeeta ji will be able to answer your queries. So as soon as we will be doing this particular question answer round, we will finish up this particular webinar session for now. Is there any questions from anybody? Please raise your hands. There is a panel on this particular Microsoft team where you can raise your hand for any kind of questions you have. Abhishek, any poll left for us?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Shivbhanu is having a question, so I'm just unmuting Mr. Shivbhanu. Yeah, Shivbhanuji, please unmute yourself now and you can ask your question.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Shivbhanu.
Sir, my question is, what is the process after find the vulnerability? And I mean, what is the your part and my part after the find the vulnerability?
Okay, so Shivanu, when you hire us for the VAPT, we will take the responsibility to perform the VAPT, and you have to define us a scope. So if
Okay.
you want to perform a network VAPT, then you will provide us with the IP addresses of the network devices, and
Yeah.
then we'll perform the VAPT. And if you also want the remediations,
Yeah.
so we will also provide you with the service of giving you the remediations of the vulnerabilities that we have found on the network.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as per
Your team
yeah,
fix fix it or suggest.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you properly.
Hello,
Yeah.
sir. My question is, your team is checks all the VAPT points, or it can we help? You can help about the VAPT point.
So, so Shibhanuji, like we provide you the VAPT report along with the recommendations,
Okay,
and through the recommendation you are able to mitigate those vulnerabilities. Or if you need any guidance, we can provide you the guidance also. But we will not participate into the remediation of
okay,
any vulnerability. But we will do the guidance for your team to like mitigate any vulnerability which you find for your network, web application, or mobile applications.
okay, okay. Thank
I
you.
hope I am clear now. Any other questions you have, sir?
No, no, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shibanu. So we have another questions also from one of the participant. Is there anybody who wants to raise hand for any questions? So we have a question from Omkar. What are the VAPT more demanding? What are the VAPT more demanded in today's time? I think why are the VAPT more demanded in today's
No,
time,
no, no,
Nova?
actually, what type, by what time he means, like whether it is cloud, web application, or the network. It actually depends on
Okay,
the organization and their infrastructure. So if there are, for example, you want to take e-commerce. So e-commerce has also has the cloud infrastructure to host their applications and also have their computer network. So it really depends on the organization and their infrastructure. So yeah, we can't say which is more demanded today. So it really
okay.
depends on the organization and their infrastructure. Yeah.
Anybody else who wants to ask any question, please raise your hand. We are here to answer your queries. We have 18 participants right now. So Omkar wants to ask a question. Okay. I think nobody's asking any questions as of now.
Yes, Omkar, we have unmuted you, so you can unmute yourself and ask the question if you have any.
Yeah, hi, hi.
Yeah.
Thanks for the information. It was a good presentation,
Thank you.
Sumit, Abhishek. What I want to understand here is the type of VPT which you mentioned, like gray, white, and that. My question was related to which one is more in demand in today's time, and which one is a costlier affair, and which one is, just for the sake of, supporting some ISO norms or some sort of, regulations
Okay.
and all that.
Okay, so
Okay.
are you
So Omkar,
referencing it to? Yes, Sumit, you can
yeah.
answer it. Yeah.
Okay. So Omkar, like as we mentioned, there are three types of methodology which generally we use: black box, gray box, and white box. So most of the people will go for gray box when there is a matter of applications like web applications and mobile applications, right? And black box generally happen for the network and the companies who just want to do a VAPT on the URL base. So it's totally a compliance part which they want to maintain, depends on the companies, right? Generally, people go for gray box only for applications, and white box methodology will be used when they are able to share the source code with us. Some companies who are using web applications or mobile applications, they are more like in a denial phase, not to use source code with the any other people, right? So in that case, the gray box is the only thing which we can do for them. So gray box is the main thing which people generally go for. It's high in demand for VAPT exercise.
So let us understand there are different verticals which demands in
Hmm,
like banking and finance, healthcare,
correct.
and manufacturing. and per se SMB sectors. So what I understand is banking is something which generally looks forward with a black box. Uh, that's
No,
what I
no. So
understand.
black box
If you can
generally
help me
happens only
understand.
on the website. Yeah, please go ahead.
So I want to understand which type of vertical demands, which type of VAPT, if you can explain, because they follow some certain standards with their
Correct,
ISO law,
correct.
with their which
Definitely,
is by
definitely.
default governed.
Right. So the companies who are in BFSI sector, banking finance sector, they have to go for a like mix approach, like gray box and white box, right? And
Okay.
the companies like manufacturing or the companies which are not having so much of cyber security instances, so they are going for a black box testing for having the particular minimal vulnerability report for the particular URL or application or network infra.
Okay. And what is is this required that the if you see the poll which mentions no non-cert in vendors are acceptable, what does that mean?
Yes. So there are multiple types of companies like who are like there are more than 190 companies who are certain impaneled. Certain is the
Okay.
government body from India which impanels
Hmm.
certain companies for doing the VAPT, and it is authorized to have the report from certain impanel member, right?
Okay.
So if somebody is asking you a VAPT report, a third party or your client will ask you a report, so most of the time they will ask you a certain impanel vendor report only,
Okay. And does
right?
VAPT,
So
my second question, does VAPT relates with the number of devices, number of machines, number of application, number of all those things?
correct, correct. So VAPT, when you go for a network infra, it depends on the IT infra which you have, like your number of IPs, internal, external, your
Okay.
switches, your firewall, routers, any other servers which you have.
What do you mean by
So
internal and external IPs?
internal IP is your local IPs, like your laptop, desktop using those IPs,
Okay.
and external IP
Like
is your public IPs which
my
you have.
intranet IPs, you're talking like that.
Correct, correct, correct.
Okay. And the one which you're saying external IPs is?
Because we want to understand how many public servers you have or external IPs like public IPs you have to understand the kind of services or threats can be enabled on those external IPs. So we need to
Okay.
check any kind of servers. If having an external IP, we need to check those servers for like VAPT
Okay.
criteria on certain
Okay.
frameworks.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sumit. Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Omkar. Thanks for
Thank you.
joining us. So I will request if anybody else wants to ask any questions. So we are here to answer your questions. We have around 12 people in attendees as of now. If somebody want to ask any questions, we are here to answer. You can raise your hands or you can write any question into chat box. So I think there is no questions from anybody. So I just want to thank you all who has attended this particular webinar. Thanks for joining at this time. So we will be just discontinuing this particular webinar now. Thanks for joining everyone. So there is one more question, I think, from Omkar. What is required? What is required for full secured organization is VAPT. So VAPT is one of the process which we need to do. It is not guaranteed to give you the 100% security if you have done the VAPT, right? There are so many permutation and combination involved to give you the not the 100% security, but at the security where you can delay your threat actors to perform on your company. There is no 100% guarantee from any solution which who can provide you 100% guarantee for 100% security. As per my understanding, cybersecurity is the solution which can delay the attack on your company only. Nobody can guarantee for 100% security, but they can guarantee you the delay in the attack. I hope I answered your query. VAPT is one of the things which can help you to strategize your cybersecurity posture. It can give you more insight about your network, about your applications. So you can work upon on those gaps which can help you. Thank you, Omkar. Thank you, everyone. So we are leaving this particular webinar now, and we'll meet you next week for our next webinar. Please register on the link which we have shared with you for more insight about application security next week. We are having a webinar series which goes for next 3 months. And every week we will be having a different webinar on different topics. So it will really help you to get more insight about the solutions. Please register in the webinar given. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye.